I'm flying to London tonight, where I'm going to be presenting the Discombobulator magazine at the College of Psychic Studies, and I am super excited, so let's go! And I'm back home. And I am deeply jet lagged, and on top of everything, full disclaimer, we are on catastrophic fire alert, not even extreme. We passed extreme hours ago. We're on catastrophic fire alert. Never to be joking about this, but I take it as it is. It is what it is. So if I have to evacuate, I will evacuate. But for the time being, we keep on living our normal life. But yeah, there's a risk of fires. Unfortunately, it is that kind of weather. So I am back, and I am so excited about the experiences that I had the opportunity to have in London. It was absolutely amazing. I even had dinner with Andrea, his partner Kevin, and Sasha Graham, and I just couldn't believe it. She was sitting next to me. We'd had in this really cozy Moroccan restaurant in the heart of London, and we just had a great time together. We really had a great time. It was absolutely amazing. She's a wonderful person, very sweet, but really the kind of personality you really want to spend time with. And it was a privilege to be able to spend a couple of hours with her. So yeah, you know what? Everything was superlative. Yes, it was incredibly hard for me to do this trip and go to London, 30 hours flight, go to London for only 4 days basically, and then fly back. But it was so worth it, and I am so happy, even though I am really jet lagged right now. So one thing that I wanted to bring your attention to, well, first of all, there will be a number of videos following this one. I've already posted a teaser, as you've seen it at the beginning of the video, of the speakers at the event of the College of Psychic Studies in London, where we presented our articles, and it was really amazing to be there and talk about tarot and our experience with tarot, and have this conversation with all the other contributors to the magazine, and also an audience. So I filmed all of the events, and you will be able to see. I will divide it though, because the let's say this speeches altogether amount to probably an hour and 20 minutes, which is too long to put in one video. So I will release one by one these interviews in the following videos. So stay tuned, because you will have the opportunity to listen as if you were there attending this event at the College of Psychic Studies, just by watching these videos that I will post. One other thing that I wanted to talk about is the fact that in London there's a couple of brick and mortar, so actual shops that sell tarot and oracle decks, and also obviously occult and esotericism related items such as fantastic books. And honestly, living in Sydney and having not that much luck when it comes to actual shops. Of course, we all have access to internet, right? So we can all eventually buy a deck that we're interested in when we understand that we need to pay for shipping. But being in London and being able to actually visit these places, I think it was one of the highlights of my trip. And so I took some footage, and I'm going to talk about these shops briefly here, because not all of us know where to shop sometimes, and I know that many of us have been or will go to London. And so if you're interested in tarot decks, these are the top 3 tarot and oracle bookstores or bookshops you can find in London. So First of all, I wanted to talk about Watkins. It's in no particular order, simply because I was closer to Watkins. I went to Watkins first, and then I went to the other two shops. But honestly, they are all three of them absolutely fantastic and with an amazing staff that will be able to give you recommendations if you so wish, whether it's for books or even tarot and oracle decks. So Watkins is very close. I would say it's in between Leicester Square and Covent Garden, so it's in the theatre area. If you're in the West End theatre area, if you watch musicals like I do all the time, I actually went to 2 musicals in 4 days. Yes, I had enough time to do that. So it's in the theatre area, let's say, and basically it's one of the most famous shops in the whole of the UK when it comes to obviously these kind of books. And they also have the possibility for you to book a tarot reading in place, in person. They rotate a number of readers, so I believe that you can actually inquire via their websites. Or when I was there, but it's not always the case, but when I was there, it was actually possible to sign your name on a, let's say, wait list. So I could have had my cards read if I weren't in so much rush to go to all the other places as well. So I have had the possibility to buy, as you can see, there's a lot of mass market decks. But I'm not interested in mass market decks. I am in my channel, of course, but generally speaking, unless they have not been released in Australia, when I'm overseas, I don't buy mass market decks because of the weight. Then I have to carry them all back. So I only purchase 2 decks that are not mass market. At least one of them, I know that in the UK is considered mass market. It is not in Australia. And on top of everything, because it's not available, we have to spend something around $65 for shipping. Not the deck and shipping, just shipping. The deck is ironically cheaper, but it's still around $50. So I was stoked to see it at Watkins, and it's this one here. Let me just grab it. And I grabbed it immediately because it's really saving me a lot of money by buying it there. So this is the Pulp Tarot by Todd Alcott. I talked about the Horror Tarot by the same creator because during the month of October I was dedicating all of the videos to Spooktober decks, and so obviously the Horror Tarot is related to that. This is not, but it's got pretty much the same kind of style. And if you know this author, you will know that there's a third deck that unfortunately was not stocked at Watkins, and I would love to have a look at that deck. I believe it's called the Sci-Fi Tarot, but I'm not entirely sure, but it is from the same author. And it is available on Etsy, on the author's Etsy store. But as I said, as I explained earlier, if you live in Australia, it's not very convenient to buy from the Etsy store. So that's why I bought this deck at the shop itself. So the Pulp Tarot was the first one that was released, I believe, and then it moved on to the Horror Tarot and finally the Sci-Fi. I've seen this deck. Many of my friends have it, and I have to say that I was really intrigued. I really like this kind of style, the 50s and the 60s kind of style. But it is also, I believe, an RWS clone, although it is inspired by posters from the 50s and the 60s, and the idea of the pin-up girl on the one hand, but also the stepful wife on the other hand. So let's have a look, because obviously it's always so much easier to just show you the cards rather than just talk about them. Which was ironic, because this is something that I always say on my channel, but if you were there at the presentation of the Discombobulator magazine at the College of Psychic Studies in London, you will remember that at a certain point I had to talk about a couple of cards on a deck, and I just described them. So sometimes I have to describe the cards. So the Pulp Tarot, let's have a look here. It does come with a guidebook, although it's not a massive book. It's not like a companion book. It's literally more akin to a little white book. as you can see here, but in any case, it does give you a little bit of an introduction, which is always welcome. And then it does go ahead and talk about the major and the minor arcanas. So I'm imagining this not to describe too much what goes on in the cards of this specific deck, but be more of a general kind of guidebook. The local dog happily trots beside her. It may be her pet, it may be her spirit guide. There are still references to the images on the cards, which is always a plus for us. Let's face it. And then it moves on to talk about the core cards, and then we are finally looking at the minors. And I believe that there's a paragraph for each and every card, so it doesn't really make much of a difference between the majors and the minors. So let's have a look at the cards now. I really like this book, similar kind of box. It's always one of my favorite ones with a magnetic closure as well. So as I said, this deck is readily available in the UK, and I'm imagining also in the US. It is not so in Australia, and so I was very happy to be able to acquire it. And this is really, a style that I like and appreciate very much. And as I was saying, it does look like one of those posters, whether it's a movie poster or a show poster from those years, of course, with the Justice card. Really, really beautiful. And this is definitely one of those decks that I really like and appreciate. I do have a lot of decks. Right now, I feel like I have many decks that are referring to, let's say, movie posters, whether they are related to specific era of movie posters. For example, I've talked with my members about Tarocchi Gialli, the Yellow Tarot by Chain Assembly, which was a reward for a Kickstarter campaign from a couple of years ago. And it was based on the horror movie posters from Italian horror movies from the 60s and the 70s, specifically from directors such as Mario Bava and Dario Argento. So inspired, not reproducing them, obviously. And this one, it does feel like it's looking at either movie posts, but also, commercials from those years. And it's really, really interesting. I really appreciate this. I appreciate the fact that there's a conscious choice on what kind of symbols to show in a card and still make it relevant and make it resonating, and giving us as tarot readers and tarot collectors the possibility to look at the card and immediately feel like we recognize the meaning of the card and that we can read with it. So this is definitely one of those decks that I would say even a beginner can definitely start reading with this. A beginner with at least a little bit of knowledge of the RWS, of course. Loving this one is like a bank heist. So obviously it points to the Three of Pentacles for the collaboration, it's a team. So they're robbing the bank together and looking at the blueprints of that. The Five of Pentacles, being abandoned and left out in the cold. The Seven of Pentacles, looking at all your money in front of you. Where should I invest now? So it is really appealing to me. It's one of the decks that I absolutely appreciate and like. And I am very, very happy that I was able to acquire this deck for only £19 or £20, which is roughly 40 Australian dollars instead of 110 Australian dollars. So practically 1/3 of the price. So this one was one of the decks that I was able to acquire at Watkins. And the second one is a deck, unfortunately, it was not exactly what I wanted. But then again, I completely understand, sometimes they cannot always be flexible. So they had the first edition. I wanted the first edition. This is the Thistle Down Oracle. And it is by the same creators as the Oak, Ash and Thorn and the Ember, Ash, Fire and Ash tarot decks. So this is an Oracle deck though, and there was a first edition that was borderless and with a different kind of backs. And they had it in the store, in the shop, but it was not for sale. It was just as a sample. And ironically, they did not have that deck for sale. They had the second edition and there was no sample of the second edition. So I thought to myself, if I ask them, you know, I'm going to pay full price for the sample deck, but they said that they needed it because they wanted to show sample of the cards from the second edition, which is not the same. Anyway, I bought the second edition. It's absolutely fine. I'm really excited to actually see this because I have had the possibility to have a look at the first edition as I explained, but not the second one. And it does come with this. So let me give me just a second to remove the string, because as you can see, I have really long nails and things are actually kind of difficult. But I may be able to just slide it. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. So let's have a look. It does come with this string and what looks like an envelope with a card. I'm not entirely sure, but it is glued here. Unfortunately, I have to rip it. And I don't like ripping things, but it is glued down and there's nothing else that I can do. And I'm going to rip into the packaging anyway. So let's have a look. So there's this one is, I believe, the Three of Swords from the Small Cash and Ember. So it is centered around dragons, and it is actually a sticker. I always like stickers, so that's very well, very welcome. And then there's a certificate of authenticity. This is a 3 Trees Tarot Thistle Down, volume 4.1, created by Stephanie Barrows, illustrated by Adam Oehlers. The release date was the 19th of August 1922, so I'm actually 3 years late, almost 3.5 years late. It did take me a while to get a hold of this deck. I know that it's still available, at least the second edition as this one. There's a presentation of something new coming soon, the Winding. So if you want, you can join the mailing list. And it's a tarot deck because here is pictured the Tower. Okay, it looks a bit minimalist, having the other two tarot decks being used to the way in which the cards are really rich with symbolism and objects in a beautiful way. I kind of feel like this is reverting back to some kind of minimalism, whether it's this, maybe this is just a part of the Tower card and not the whole Tower card. But if it is, I get it, I get the symbology, but it feels like it's a bit more minimalist than what I expected. And then there's, look how cute this is. So there's a bit of an introduction, and then there's another card, just a card like this, really beautiful as well. I really love the colors, by the way. The illustrator is really one of my favorites. And so, okay, so this one was, I don't know, honestly, whether when you do purchase this deck from their website, you will also be gifted with the sticker and all the rest. I certainly hope so. But then opening up, unfortunately, I have to tear it. Let's just tear it. Let's just go for it, even though I don't like it. But then again, you know, I probably would not put it back in the packaging anyway. And here we go. So, really beautiful box. As you can see, this is actually embossed. So it's very nice to the touch as well. And printed by Generation Press, carbon neutral, solar power, vegetable based inks and responsible print. I was about to say this feels like a recycled box, cardboard, let's say. I could be wrong, but I feel like it might be right. And I always like the fact that they give you the possibility on the box to push the flap all the way back so that you actually have enough of a grip on the cards to slide them out. That is not always the case on all of the decks. And yeah, so it comes with the belly band. There's a bit of an ear on one of the cards here, unfortunately, but it's really no big deal. It's just that I do see these things and I just talk about them sometimes, you know, not everything is perfect. But then again, all of these really slight, not very relevant imperfections are part of the experience of buying an indie deck, obviously. So, you know, you get unique products all the time. So these are the backs. And as I was saying, the backs of the first edition are slightly different. And also, there you go, it starts from here. So the first edition of this Oracle deck is borderless. This one has white border. So it also depends on what you prefer. I go back and forth. I have no idea. Sometimes I love me a borderless deck. Sometimes I actually appreciate a frame to the artwork. You never know. So it doesn't look like it comes with, it does, like the tarot deck as well, it does come with a couple of additional cards where you can find the meaning. So at least, let's say, some keywords to the cards, like this one here. These ones are more than keywords. When I can see this, is more like a sentence. So for example, this is the acknowledgement card, as you can see. And here, it says, acknowledgement, once the storm settles, the sun will shine, which is very beautiful. So it's more like sentences. It will be very nice to combine them all and obviously to pay attention to them. But today I just wanted to show you the cards because this is literally me showing you what you can get when you shop local, in this case from an actual brick and mortar shop. Look at the art style and the colors. I think it's just the sweetest thing. This to me also feels very much like an autumn kind of deck. It does give me those kind of vibes. Really beautiful, this individuality card with you know, all of the monarch butterflies in the background and a moth in the center, just to say I belong to your family, but I'm not entirely the same as you. Intrigue with the otter. So really, really beautiful. And I have to say that when I look at the keywords at the bottom, they actually really make sense. So sometimes when you have an animal-based deck, the keywords at the bottom will refer more often than not to some kind of accepted symbology related to the animal. But in this case, I believe these are all very specific kind of animals that you can find. I don't know, you cannot, unfortunately, you cannot find dragons in nature anymore. But many of the animals depicted here, from my understanding, you can actually find them in the UK. So they are local animals, apart from dragons, of course. But then again, you know, who knows? Maybe there are dragons somewhere, you never know. If there is a country in the whole of the world that can still have dragons, I believe it's England. Honestly, it's the UK. Silver linings, warmth, and there's a couple of additional cards that don't have, but this one is probably representing the day and the blossoming, and this is representing the night, I believe. So really, really beautiful deck. I am looking forward to use it together with the tarot decks from the same creators. And I'm also looking forward to the new deck that apparently will come soon. I do subscribe to their newsletter, but I am so far behind from all of my emails that at a certain point I honestly don't even read all of them because there's just so many. So these two were the two decks that I was able to buy at Watkins, and then I went to pay visit to the Atlantis, which is another historical, very famous, absolutely amazing bookstore in London, central London. It's actually probably, I'd say 5 minutes, well, even less than 5 minutes walk from the British Museum. You can literally see the queues to the British Museum if you peek out of the door of the Atlantis bookshop. And I will have to say that when I went there, they were absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, the two ladies that own the shop and take care of the shop were not there. And then I was supposed to go back on the Monday, but I wasn't feeling fantastic. And I also received an email from the person that allowed me to take footage in the store, Stephen, and he said, unfortunately, my wife and my sister-in-law are all sick. And so they would not have been at the store on Monday either. So I did not go back. But I was able, as I said, to take some footage. And I have to say, the Atlantis, absolutely check it out when you go to London. It's not just an excellent shop for all these kind of tarot and oracle decks, but also, as I said, very interesting books. But I have been visiting the Atlantis before, and I had the opportunity to speak to the ladies, and they're absolutely amazing. I had lovely conversations about tarot and oracle decks and books, and it's always nice to see that this distance doesn't really account for anything, because I live in Australia, they live in London. There's kilometers and kilometers of distance, but at the end of the day, having a passion in common, such as for tarot and oracle decks, really makes the world much smaller and so much easier to relate and to speak to others and immediately feel like you belong, because obviously we share so much passion for this. So I was also able to buy a couple of decks from the Atlantis. I'm just putting them closer to me. So one of them I hesitated because it's this one here. Let me just show you, because it's so much easier to show you rather than explain something. So the Grief Journey Oracle, it's also a reward from a Kickstarter campaign from, I'm not entirely sure, I did not back it. And the problem was that I wanted to, but at the time I was going through my mourning period for the loss of my 15-year-old cat, Missy. It was horrible what happened, because we fought tooth and nails, really, literally. We changed 5 vets. At the end, we had to let her go because she had started to be in pain. But it was 6 weeks of me not sleeping, spending every waking moment next to her, hugging her, telling her how much I loved her, say, I'm so sorry if I wasn't a perfect mom, and say, I forgive you for not being a perfect cat, because, that's something that we need to hear, we need to say when we're losing someone. And so I believe that at the time there was this oracle deck, or probably just the oracle deck. I don't remember whether there was also a tarot deck, but in any case, it was funded on Kickstarter. And I thought to myself, do I really want to do this? And I just didn't have the energy. I didn't have the strength to do that. But when I saw it at Atlantis, I felt like it was the right time to buy it. And so here it is. But this is from Marion Kirk and Terry Cottrell. Please bear with me. I hope I will be able to keep a straight face, because obviously I know from following the Kickstarter campaign that there's a couple of cards that really make me very emotional. And so I'm going to do my best not to get emotional, but if I do, just be patient with me. The Grief Journey Oracle, really, really beautiful deck. Obviously, it is meant to accompany you in your grief journey. That is, one of the main reasons why this deck has been created. And so it comes with the guidebook here, as you can see. So we do have, for example, a smaller but in full color thumbnail representing the card, and then we've got a couple of paragraphs here. So I'm not going to read out of this. It's going to be very intense. I probably will do a full video on all of the decks that I recommend using when you're going through the grieving journey. And so this one will definitely be one of them. And I'm just going to have a look at the cards, but we're going to be as accepting as possible. If I feel like I have to manifest and show vulnerability, then I'm okay with that. We've all lost someone we loved. I believe that we do. We always go through this kind of experience in life, and so we know how hard it is. So just, let's bear with me. Really beautiful backs, by the way. Absolutely love this kind of art style. Yeah. Adieu is goodbye, and it's basically the card that convinced me not to back the Kickstarter campaign. I don't remember whether it was say adieu is goodbye in French. Sorry, I forgot to say that. But it's very close to me because I'm an Italian native speaker. And so the way to say goodbye for us is addio, which means literally addio. So I'll see you again, once in presence of God. And it's a weight that we don't necessarily think about the meaning of this word when we say it, but we never say addio in Italian. So I know that in English saying goodbye is not as final. You do say goodbye all the time to people. Yeah, bye, goodbye. So it's not very, it's not a harbinger of doom and gloom. But in Italian, we don't say addio. Addio means you only say that when it's the last time you see someone. And adieu in French is very similar to that. Even though I can think about other languages, for example, in Catalan, adeu you can say that all the time without thinking that what it means in the original term. So I don't know, I feel I have mixed feelings about the fact that the choice was to present this card in French rather than English. But it is the final goodbye. And so I get it. It's just really, really heartbreaking. So ancestors, ascension, caretakers, chaos within. These are really beautiful and evocative cards. There's no two ways around that. I feel like this is a very interesting deck. It is one of those decks that is very kind and gentle because, when you face one of these thematics, you need to be kind and gentle. And then again, the second in which I said this, I turned to this card and I looked at the image and also at the keyword at the bottom, which is fury. And obviously, I was talking and within myself I was thinking, yeah, but you also go through rage. When you're going through grief, you also go through rage, and I can attest to that. I have absolutely no shame in saying that I still go through rage fits sometimes because I'm upset that I lost people I love. I'm upset that I lost them because they got really sick when they were young. It's unfair. I'm pissed off. I have absolutely no problems in saying that. I have been processing the grief of losing these people, but at the same time, it is my right to still be really upset that these unfair thing happened to them. So I get it. Fury, absolutely. Growth, guardian. So really resonating with all of the keywords so far and the images as well. The images are absolutely stunning, I might say. Memories with the elephant, of course. Resilience. The rainbow bridge. That's really beautiful. And you know what? I kind of expected the image related to the rainbow bridge to be showing a rainbow bridge, so a bridge with the colors of the rainbow, which is not the case here, but I do appreciate this. It's very beautiful in any case. Retirement, revelations with the snake, bringer of truth, secret, shelter with Nemo. Look at that, clownfish. That's very sweet. That's very sweet. Spiral, survivor, tranquility, and transition. So I've only showed you not all of the decks, not all of the cards, but I feel like I definitely want to do a lot of work with this. So if you're a Starlight member, you will see, you will have seen already that with my Starlight members, we've done a lot of work on processing grief and loss, a lot of work, and all of the videos are still there and they're still available with all of the material, little books that I prepare for you. So if you want to join my Starlight membership, it's still, all of those videos are still there, even though they are from even 2 years ago, for example, because I never remove videos. So you literally, when you join a month, you have access not just to all of the videos for that month, but 2 years worth of videos, that come before that. So grief is something that we wanted to tackle all together, and it's something that you keep on doing all your life, I believe. I don't, at least I feel like it for myself. It just changes with the motion. It changes with my own evolution. It changes with the idea that I have about how to express and process my feelings. But we all go through grief, and grief lasts forever. It's just that by changing and maturing in a way, I also express it in a different way. I'm still grieving for the death of my mom, which happened decades ago, and yet I can still feel that I'm mourning for her, and it's absolutely fine. It is not paralyzing, and it's not even painful anymore, or at least not so much. But I am still taking her with me. And on the one hand, I released her, and that was the focus of the processing of the grief videos that I was giving to my members. We need to release them, but at the same time, I'm also honoring her memory because I'm still remembering her. So then I bought this deck, which has always been very fascinating me, and I'm very curious about it. This is the Turning Terrestrial Tides Tarot. So this is, I believe, a deck that has been, so this one has been created by the same publisher or creators of the 8th House Tarot. And I have to say, I am searching, I'm looking for the 8th House Tarot, but not the latest edition. There is one edition that have really weird borders, like acid green kind of borders, and that's the one that I'm looking for. And I believe that that one is not available any longer. But in any case, I was really curious about this deck, and so let's have a look at it. It is slightly smaller, let's say. Geez, these nails, seriously, I mean, I love them. They're really cool, but they're so long that my basic skills about opening a deck just go down the drain with the effort. In any case, I finally managed. So let's have a look at these cards. Turning Terrestrial Tides Tarot, and it's 2 parts box, as you can see here. I hope that, because it was really humid in London. Okay, now there is a renaming apparently of the court cards. So it says here court guide. So child as a page, teen as a knight, adult as a queen, and elder as the king. I completely agree. With this renaming, and I think it's very intuitive, and I would not have chosen anything different. I mean, child has to be a page, right? And then it goes without saying, the teen is the knight, the adult is the queen, and the elder is the king. So I'm perfectly happy with the way in which the court cards have been renamed. It does come with a guidebook. Surrender to the pull, let it be your guide. Yeah, of course, the terrestrial tides, of course, we're talking about that kind of pull and movement. Really nice, very eclectic kind of guidebook, as you can see here. It changes the font. This one, for example, is not possible to read for me. Even when I'm using my reading glasses, I will have to use a magnifying lens. But I kind of get it, because the artistic, probably the artistic inspiration about producing this deck caught the author in such a way that they felt like producing the guidebook this way, and I appreciate it. It's unique. You don't find anything like it, so it's always welcome. So the tides are turning. Yep, the tides are turning. These are the backs, and by the way, they are reversible, just in case you shuffle in reversals. And there is a really beautiful acid green for the edges here, as you can see. And then, so I would say it's very unconventional, but you know me, I don't shy away from unconventional decks. I look at them, I consider them, and when I like them, I keep them. If I don't like them, I try and see whether they resonate or not. If they don't, I move them on. And so be it. So it's in black and white, and it feels always like a little bit of a newspaper style, back when newspapers were still in black and white. Even the font feels a little bit like that. And I like it. It's very interesting. It's got a lot of oomph. to the cards. It gives that kind of interpretation that you really like it or you don't get on with it. I know that this deck is probably not for everyone. So this is the suit of tangibles, for example. We have a renaming, but obviously you can see here that there are pentacles. So, and also, you know what, tangible, it's a perfect name for pentacles because it is looking at resources. So I'm really liking this renaming. And then we're moving on to the suit of emotions, which is obviously referring to cups, or the suit of water. Really, really nice, well done. This is the child of emotion with surprise. Do you remember how anything felt possible and play was at the center of everything? Absolutely amazing. I really like the idea of writing whole sentences on the cards as well. So this is not just feeling like a journalistic / collage kind of black and white deck. It's also really well thought. And we've got here, for example, the suit of thoughts, which is obviously the suit of swords or suit of air. Transition with the six of thoughts, which is always what I say about the six of swords. The child of thoughts with the googly eyes on the palm of their hand. I really like this. Just to refer to something that I adore, there is one detail of one of my favorite movies of all time, which is Everything Everywhere All at Once. At a certain point, the husband puts googly eyes everywhere. I just love it. The wife is always upset because she's like, you can't keep on doing this. We have a laundry, we have serious customers, they don't want to see this. But I love it. I love the fact that it keeps on doing that because it gives this idea that things have a personality by putting these eyes on top of a laundry basket and so on and so forth. So I appreciate the idea of being a child inside, but also being receptive and open to that surprise that we've seen earlier with the Page of Cups, you know, that the ability to be surprised at anything that you still want to have even when you're an adult. So I really like that. Elder of Thoughts. And then the suit of passions, which is obviously referring to wands, obviously the suit of fire. So really, really interesting. Again, one of those decks that I will have to probably study, take my time with it. Today is just that I wanted to show what you can buy, what's available, what I was able to find at the Atlantis store. And then I bought another deck at the Atlantis. Let me just show you briefly. So this is actually a mass market deck, and it's making me a liar when I was saying earlier that I generally don't buy mass market decks when I go to a shop overseas. The reason why I bought this one is because I really wanted this deck, but it's going to be released in Australia at the end of January if and when. And so I kind of, you know, I bought it because I just wanted it now. So this is the Roadshow Wisdom Oracle deck, written and illustrated by Dreamopedia. Now this one, the publisher is Sacred Scribe Publishing. As I said, this is a mass market deck, and it will be available also in Australia, but at the end of January. So because I recently have acquired a couple of out of print and really interesting circus related decks, I was very curious about this one, and so I just want to check it out. You know what I mean? It's just it's good to be a really interesting deck. All of the decks are very interesting to me. It's just that sometimes they don't resonate, but this one is a deck of archetypes inspired by the archetypes that you see in a circus. So roadshow, sorry, not a circus, but a roadshow. And it does come with, look at the box, the inside of a box, really nice. So it does come with a guidebook here, nice gilding, as you can see as well. And it is chunky. So it does come with an explanation for each and every one of the card. And I might say, it looks like there is some kind of a poem here. So the Magic Lantern Through the lens, a world unseen, light and shadow dance and play, a wondrous tale of silver screen, the magic lantern leads the way. I love that. It feels very much in theme with, an itinerant kind of roadshow, like a circus. The way in which I was used to love circus when I was a kid. I was going, all the chances I got, I was going to see the show. I really, really loved it. And it does represent a magical moment of my childhood. And so it will be very interesting to see. So in here, it also gives you the card explanation, leadership and organization. Which one is this one, for example? The manager, of course. And then it talks about leadership and organization, guidance and support, balance and well-being, responsibility and accountability, strategic planning, empathy and communication, adaptability and growth. So I like the idea of having a very specific, also kind of niche oracle deck that shows me and talks about archetypes. I do a lot of work with archetypes, especially with my members. And so having more than one deck is always appreciated. I see here that it's signed with gratitude Fabrizio. So Dreamopedia, Fabrizio is an Italian name. I apologize for that I should have done a little bit more research, but I actually don't really know who the author of this deck is, because it keeps on saying written and illustrated by Dreamopedia. So Fabrizio Uffreduzzi. Okay, that's definitely Italian. Italian. So the book designer is Leah Showman, editor also Leah Showman. So really interesting to read more about Fabrizio and Leah. But for now, let's have a look at the cards. And these are the bags, really, really cool, with the circus tent. And let's have a look, because obviously this is a very interesting, very, very interesting. The flea. The ticket collector, the Amazon, of course, the old timer, the bullet man, and the journey. Wow, very intense. The fortune teller, the crocodile, the truck, the mummy. So I'm just gonna go on. We got a unicorn, which is a zebra wearing a unicorn mask, which is really interesting. And the clown, very intense. The contortionist, the manager, we just read about it. The rabbit, the medium, hi there. The music box, the vulture, the juggler, interesting. The naughty monkey. So there's a lot of cards. The hot air balloon, the soap bubble artist. I've never seen that, but that could be really interesting. I love the fact that there's a puppy on the card as well. The ventriloquist, the cotton candy seller, and the syrup. Amazing, 41 cards. Really good cardstock, I have to say, very sturdy. Really, really appreciative of that. It's a slightly larger kind of format, as you can see. But I am incredibly curious to see how it pairs up with my circus-themed tarot decks, obviously. So these were the 3 decks that I bought at Atlantis, and then I was still on the go, and I had the possibility to go and visit, but very, very briefly. So let me tell you what happened. I went to Treadwells, right? And Treadwells does not allow any filming inside, and also for no photo for commercial purposes, so I couldn't even take photos. But what happened was that I got in, I just literally had one very brief look at the tarot decks and oracle decks that were for sale, and I couldn't even tell you whether they were mass market or indie. I just what I did was my eye fell onto a cabinet, a glass cabinet, and inside there were some pretty rare decks, and so my attention was piqued immediately. So I went there, and I saw this deck here, and I talked about it because I actually filmed a video, because I was so stoked about being able to buy this deck. And I was really, I bought it, and I was so excited that I literally did not even pay attention to anything else that was on the shop. So my apologies for that. I highly recommend them. They're not too far from the Atlantis, but I just had, this was my experience I found, and there were other rare, out of print, hard to find, you name it, kind of decks. So my experience, and I did film a video that I posted on Monday. I found the Dalton jewelry. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I've been looking for this deck ever since I missed out on the Kickstarter campaign. And so I am incredibly excited. I'm not going to show you this deck because there's a whole video in which I show you the whole deck. So just look for it. It's from a couple of days ago. But I was so stoked to be able to find this deck. And so it shows that brick and mortar shops are still very much alive, because you can still find, you know, stuff like this. You can find indie decks, you can find out of print decks, you can find hard to find decks, collectible items, and so on and so forth. So don't discount the experience of going physically to these shops, because you may be surprised. And look at me, I mean, honestly, I was shocked. I would have never thought, I had no idea that I could have found this deck there. So, well, there you go. So that was it for today. We talked a lot. So as I said, I will also, in the next few weeks, I will also show you all of the interviews that we released at the College of Psychic Studies in London during the presentation of the magazine by Andrea Aste, the Discombobulator. So stay tuned, because you will see all of us. It was Sato-san. So Letizia Barbier was presenting as an MC. Andrea was there to interact with the guests. We had the super duper cool Sasha Graham presenting her article. I presented my own, and then there were other speakers. So I highly recommend you stay tuned and watch the videos. Sooner or later they will appear one by one, as I explained, because otherwise it's just too long a video. And I'm very excited to announce that I'm working right now on an article for the number 1, because we started from number 0 for the first number of the Discombobulator. Now we're working for number 1. So it will, you know, soon you'll be able to hear about that one as well. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye.